To close our segment on the social pillar, please welcome our Guru Talk with Hari V. Krishnan, Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of PropertyGuru Group. Talking about the homes of the future, Hari will deliver insights on sustainable living in Asia's megacities.
Every year, 200,000 people move to Ho Chi Minh City from the towns and villages around Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh City, with a population of 8.5 million people and counting, is but one of several Asian megacities rising from around Southeast Asia. As per United Nations data, in the 10-year period from 2015 to 2025, 25% of the population of the top 6 countries in Southeast Asia will move to these megacities, with 350 million people living in these cities by 2025. They move with the hopes and aspirations for all the facilities and amenities that a big city should offer them. The reality today in Asia is stark. In 2020 alone, in Penang, in Jakarta, and in Bangkok, the cities have been inundated by floods. Every year, in Singapore and in most of Malaysia and Indonesia, the sky is blanketed by unbreathable air brought on by man-made fires. We need an intervention in how we plan our cities and our communities. Emerging cities and countries often take inspiration from developed cities, both for paradigms on how to build better, but also for cautionary tales. One such cautionary tale comes from Los Angeles. Los Angeles in California, and their mayor, Eric Garcetti, has longitudinal data which tracks communities from poorer communities around Los Angeles where the urban infrastructure is less developed. He has proved that there is a causal relationship between the lack of bus shelters and children of these poorer communities being less likely to complete their homework. Stretch this out over time, and you're able to see that there are poorer life outcomes for these children growing up in poorer communities. This is a lesson that our Asian megacities can ill afford to ignore with our large populations of poorer people. But there's also inspiration from some of these developed cities. In Tel Aviv, in Israel, they're building an electric road where there are actually electrical plates below the surface of the road which connect to special receptors on buses and therefore power these electric buses in a more efficient manner. Another great example of managing public transportation comes from Helsinki in Finland, where they launched the WIM MAS app. MAS stands for Mobility as a Service. With a single subscription, citizens of the city are able to get access to e-scooters, to bicycles, to self-driven cars, taxis, buses, and even ferries. It has been so successful that it actually expanded to Antwerp in Belgium, it expanded to Birmingham in England, and then closer to home to Tokyo and even to Singapore. The citizens of our cities are paying attention to all these changes, and they're demanding change too. The citizens of Hanoi conducted a well-attended seminar where they gathered together the best ideas, not just from around the world, but also specific to our region. On the flip side of this coin, some citizens of Jakarta actually sued the government for the poor quality of their breathable air. Our twice annual PropertyGuru Consumer Sentiment Survey is an invaluable insight into how consumer trends and property seekers are thinking about their homes of the future. In Singapore, for instance, we have seen a clear indication that Singaporeans are willing to actually pay a little bit more for a home that's built with sustainable features. Specific attention has been given to more efficient cooling as well as solar panels to power their homes. This definitely gives us inspiration for the homes that we're going to build in the future. Another great opportunity for us in Southeast Asia is that in more and more of our cities, people are living in self-contained townships. These townships are built by private developers, and this partnership between private developers and the public infrastructure gives us a great opportunity to improve the homes of the future. One example of this is in the case of self-sustainability of food supply. More and more private developers are making available allotment gardens within their projects. These allotment gardens allow people to grow their own food, their vegetables, fruits, herbs, and such. In some cities, like in Singapore, they even offer sky allotment gardens, several stories up in the air, where you can actually grow your own produce. That is just one example. We've also seen digital apps being launched within some of these communities where people are able to manage their energy and water supply, but also enter complaints for appliances that aren't working efficiently. Clearly, developers in Asia are jumping into the digital age with both feet. But it's not just what they're building, it's how they're building as well. Prefabricated skyscrapers are now becoming a reality in Southeast Asia. They offer a great opportunity to improve both noise and air pollution during the construction phase of these communities. The world's tallest prefabricated skyscrapers, over 200 meters high, will rise in Singapore, but they're being built elsewhere. Great opportunity for us to develop these communities around our cities. The PropertyGuru Asia Property Awards has seen a 50% increase from developers for categories such as Best Green Development as well as Best in Sustainable Design. This gives us cause for hope, and we really look forward to seeing what these future cities look like. But it's not just about private construction. Public policy needs to keep pace with this as well. More and more projects are going to have the availability for electric vehicle chargers to be within it. But how about subsidies so that people are more encouraged to buy electric vehicles? You hear about green loans for developers so that they can build in a more sustainable manner. How about green loans for property seekers who are actually willing to invest in these sustainably built homes? And finally, when it comes to modular construction and prefabricated buildings, we need more policy change so we can see more of these prefabricated buildings, improving the quality of the air and the noise in all our cities as well. There's definitely hope for the future. But the one thing that's clear is that climate change is here. Urbanization is also here. Our Asian megacities are being built as we speak. Many of us will live to see the cities of tomorrow, but all of our children will. We owe it to them to build the cities of tomorrow and not just replicate the cities of yesterday. Providing sustainable urban living solutions might well be the defining call to action of our lives. Thank you. The home of the future, as I envision it, will be sustainably built, will be responsible to the environment and the community around it, and will actually reflect not just the family that's living within the home, but also the community within which the home is constructed. Households can become sustainable by looking at the small behaviors and practices, everything from not using single-use plastics to thinking about segregating and recycling different forms of things, plastic separated from glass, separated from paper, and such. We can also be thinking about ways in which we use our appliances, the way in which we use our air conditioners and refrigerators, for instance, and think about the energy efficiency of the appliances that we actually buy. There are lots of small practices that people can do just within the home to make this a more sustainable home to live in for all of us. Technology underpins a number of different solutions, everything from smart homes that know how to efficiently turn up and down the cooling systems or other energy appliances. There are also ways in which you can track water supply and complain about appliances that are not working very well. These are all technologies that exist today. The question is, do you have any of those solutions in your home? The government plays a big role. The regulatory environment is critical to ensure that there are incentives in place for private organizations to set up the right kind of structures, so building the right kind of buildings, for instance, but also for the end consumer, the property seeker, thinking about such a way that there is no tension between doing the right thing and saving money. If the right incentives are in place, they can both be aligned. There are a few examples of sustainable solutions. At PropertyGuru, we have over 1,300 employees spread out across 5 different countries. We rolled out a program called Green Guru within the company to impact 1,300 families, the families of our employees. We've been training our employees on sustainable practices within their homes. We have converted all our offices to have green practices as well. Recycling bins, e-waste recycling, no single-use plastics. We have changed our travel policies to be more green as well. So these are ways in which an organization can transform itself and by doing so, impact the families of their employees directly. Different cities are making progress in different ways. Singapore often stands out as a great example. They're building a lot of smart appliances, smart cities are being built. There's a big emphasis on solar panels and adoption of that, despite the limited ground area to actually build big solar farms rather. But it isn't just Singapore that has a monopoly on building sustainability. We've seen great practices come out within private communities in Bangkok. Hanoi recently ran a well-attended seminar in which its citizens started thinking about sustainable development for the future. So we're seeing progress across a variety of different places. And the one I do want to call out is Indonesia. As it's building its new capital city, it's thinking about sustainable practices from the get-go. So it builds the city of tomorrow rather than replicate the city of yesterday. It is a moral imperative for every citizen of the world to start living more responsibly. Really, when you think about the home of the future, the question I have for you is, do you want to see that future? Do you want your children to see and experience a nice and happy and sustainable future? Well, I presume that the answer is yes. And to do so, change needs to start today.